Hello and welcome to 5 at 5 with Rev Sports. I'm Gargi Rao and with me is Boria Mujumdar and we're going to be talking about all Paris Olympics. Only 10 days to go for this biggest sporting event in history in this year as well. But is Team India ready for Paris Olympics 2024? Boria, what are your first thoughts about Team India when you look at the teams that are going to be there representing India, carrying the Indian flag? What are you expecting out of them?
Before I say Gargi, I mean, you have also done a lot of multi sport recently. For example, you did badminton, you've done quite a bit of other sports as well. You are taking an active interest, you will be hosting the Olympic shows. What is your sense? Because you are also reading and following all of the work. You did Chanu, you've interviewed Anju George. So all of these, I mean, if you actually see the way even your show Grounded has taken off, what is your sense? Do you reckon that this Indian team is the best in quite a while? Do you think the 10 medal count that we are talking about is actually a real possibility? Do you think India is ready? How significant is the Olympics? Give me a sense, because let's make this show interactive. I mean, I will obviously give my point of view and everything else, and loads and thousands of questions will come. But what is your sense? What are you getting? Mute.
Oh, sorry. I'm also feeling very positive about this contingent that's going because you see the quality of Olympic sports in India has just gone up. I think it's made strides when it comes to whatever's happening in domestic, in grassroots. We're seeing the government is putting a lot of effort and money and funds into this. We're seeing what's happening in Odisha. You have a book, you have a whole book and a documentary that Rev Sports did. So I saw all of that, and I've been following all of that even before I joined Rev Sports. So I mean, I think that's where the biggest difference is the way that all the athletes are practicing. You see that there's a lot of quality, and there's been a great jump since the past few Olympics when we talk about Indians trainings and Indian athletes trainings and the effort that's been put into it by associations, by federations, and the Indian government. So I'm very very confident about this team, and like you said.
Because you told me what you said about Mira. Suppose she gets a consecutive medal. This is a question for you as a fan and as a journalist. You
Yeah.
covered Mira. You have heard her journey. You have heard how difficult it was. When you see someone like that, who you know well, who you've interviewed, what will that medal mean to you as a woman, as a fan, as a journalist?
I mean, it means a lot because Mira, the way that she is, she's very, very humble. She's very down to earth. And the progress that she's made in her sport is an inspiration. Even if she hadn't gotten an Olympic medal, it would still be an inspiration just for the way that she has made it out of her little village and excelling in the sport, excelling in weightlifting. I think that's not something that's easy to do. It would have been easier for her to pick up a sport like badminton or something, but weightlifting is a very unconventional sport, especially for a woman to pick up. Don't even talk about that she's from a very remote village, and that her family hadn't wasn't with her at the very beginning, but then of course when she started started having a lot of success, they realized that she had real potential. But before that, she was telling me about how she would pick up a lot of weight, in the farms she would pick up logs and all of that. So at home, actually back home in the village. So that's when she realized that that she was very strong, and that she was stronger than maybe other women surrounding her, and that she could really do something in weightlifting. Amartya Chakravarti is saying that weightlifting is super common in northeast region, which is a good thing. It's a good thing, yeah, but still, it's very difficult for women to make it in sports. And the way that Mirabai Chanu has done it, already won. We have a
And
medal from
Kagi, add what happened in Manipur. Add the
yeah.
fact that she wasn't able to get home. Add the fact that she was injured. Add the fact that she was away in America having to appeal what was going on in her part of the world. And yes, you are absolutely correct when you said that that's how she discovered, or her parents discovered, her talent, when she used to bring these logs home and help her mother in lighting the fire, lighting all of that. That's how Mira's talent was discovered. Absolutely, and that is why I was sort of the reason I was pushing you for the stories. These are
Yeah,
the kind of stories that inspire me. I mean, when I look at Olympic sport, yes, there is a cricket World Cup and all of that. I understand this country will be mad, but these are stories which are just unbelievable. And following the Olympics will be the Paralympics. Talk to me about Anju George. Think about the fact that one kidney and you go on to win a world championship medal. You're creating multiple champions now. Unbelievable. We will take questions. I mean, folks, don't
yeah,
worry because we will. But it's very important to sort of come out with some of these stories, and that's what I was doing. Your thoughts on Anju George, and did that interview also leave an impression?
yeah, yes, because again, Anju George is such an inspiration. When you look at all these women, Mirabai Chanu, PT Usha, Anju Bobby George, it's difficult being a woman in sports and then also excelling in administration, in sports administration, being taken seriously, holding these, very prestigious positions. That's very difficult as well. To and to meet and talk to these women, I talked to PT Usha, I talked to Anju Bobby George especially, and the way that she viewed everything. She was very clear about what she wants for the Indian athletes, how she's going to support them. And mainly spoke on mental health, and she had a very different take from all the other athletes that I've talked to. So it was actually very interesting to talk to Anju Bobby George, and she's very clear about the approach she's going to take. And she has set up multiple different teams that are going to be supporting the Indian contingent. So she's very crystal clear, and especially I think back on how she supported Jyoti Yaraji, the way that she stood up for her in the Asian Games after that false start. I think that was uh, uh, one of one of the statements that she made as vice president of AFI, that she's really there for the athletes.
Excellent answer, Gargi. Excellent answer, and the Jyoti Yaraji connect was great. But tell me something. You interviewed Usha. What was the body language? Because obviously, I mean, few interviews by Usha. One, I think yours was the only video. I don't think anybody else has done a proper at-length video interview. Yes, from events you take a couple of bites. That's different. But you interviewed the president at length. She's coming on the 24th to Paris. That's what her office tells me. But give me a sense when you spoke to her, the off camera conversation, how confident did she look? Is she sort of confident that this could be our best Olympics?
Yeah, she's very confident in the contingent. And what really there was something different about her as the president, is that she's very involved with the athletes. She's very, very involved, especially with the athletics team. She's constantly talking to all these athletes personally on the phone. She's supporting them if there's a problem. She makes sure to solve them. There was an athlete who was not quite feeling her best. So she in this conversation happened in front of me. So she got her a ticket to Delhi, and made sure that she was there to talk with her, and keep her spirits high. So this is something that PT Usha is doing, and she's very confident. And she's also putting a lot of effort in sports science to support all these athletes, because she understands from her time in athletics as well that it's very important to figure out the science behind every athlete's body, because everyone is different, and it's not you can't just wing these things. And she's very dedicated to all these things, especially sports science. She spoke about that at length as well. And how she's trying to make athletics and Indian Olympic sports, a multi-sporting nation, and she's really, really dedicated to the cause.
Let's now sort of get to the moot point that Gargi and I started with today. And Usha ji is extremely humble. Yeah, I mean, and I love that interview. We love that interview of PT Usha that Gargi did. And yes, she would have been the first field medalist in Olympics. No, not the first. Maybe if you are talking about Indian context, Milkha Singh, Sriram Singh, Gurbachan Singh Randhawa, PT Usha, maybe that's the chronology. Female, yes. 1984, Christina Koikaru. I mean, how many of you remember Christina Koikaru? Christina Koikaru caused us a national heartbreak. I was what? I was 7 when it happened. 8 rather, not 8, 7. And cried and cried when PT Usha did not thrust. It was one thousandth of a second. That's the kind of heartbreak. And then to come back from there and win the multiple goals, beating Lydia De Vega of Philippines in 1986 in Seoul. That generation, the Usha Shaini Wilson, Vandana Rao, that team, Ashwini Nachappa, that 4 into 4 quartet, top quality, absolutely top quality. That's about it. Let's get to the current one. Is India ready? Gargi is right. I think India is ready. I think when I look at India, and let's give credit. I think the biggest credit for India being ready is owed to the top scheme. It is owed to the top scheme and the government, because the kind of money that we have seen supporting the athletes in recent times, be it anyone. Yesterday, I was having a chat with Rohan Bopanna, and you will see the interview tomorrow. Rohan Bopanna at the moment is in Hamburg. At the moment in Hamburg, playing with Balaji, because they are getting ready for the Olympic Games. So Rohan was telling me that the top scheme made it possible. You ask anyone, ask the shooters, ask the baddie players, ask Antim, ask the Mission Olympic Cell has made all of these things possible. So the largest credit for where we are in terms of preparation actually goes to the government and the top scheme. So when we criticize, India 130 crores, etc., I have been saying this for a long time. A fundamental point that when you talk about 130 crore Indians winning what, 7 medals, 8 medals, how many of the 130 crore actually have access to sport? 99.5% of the 130 crore will not have access to sport. We are talking about a minuscule percentage that actually has access. So don't compare Europe with India. Don't compare China with India. It is not possible. It is not realistic. So in Britain, and having lived in so I've lived and taught in Britain, I've lived and taught in Australia, I've lived and taught in Canada and the United States. In all of these countries, when I see sport, look at how it is integrated within the academic framework. Look at the kind of exposure that kids will have. In India, even today, how many in rural India will have access? Tell me. You will not. So from there to come and make a system, finally we have structure, we have a system in place, is an excellent move forward, and a lot of credit deserved by the top scheme. And thereafter comes these foundations, be it Go Sport, be it JSW, people like Parth. So the Go Sports Foundation, people, the Olympic Gold Quest, these foundations, but also federations. We hardly talk about federations and the impact they create. Talk about someone like an Adil Sumariwala. Go check the AFI program. Be it the support of brands like HSBC, be it the support of others. The AFI runs the largest sub-junior program now in the country. Top quality stuff. Okay, people are asking about medals as well. 130 crore jibe is used by Vaughan and Nasir Hussain a lot. If they use it I mean, they don't understand. They're not from this country. When you go to rural India, and by the way, we travel around our country. When I go to suburban Calcutta, when Gargi goes to suburban, when she goes back home to Nagpur, how many Indians have access to sport? How many will have access to? So in Bengal, we don't even have, today also we don't have a hockey turf. In Sundargarh we have, because of the Odisha revolution. So that's where other foundations take Go Sport. How many young athletes, young people are now being funded by Go Sports? Speak to Deepthi Bopaya, you will know. That's where the change is happening. Whether it is JSW, whether it is OGQ, whether it is Go Sport, whether it is Meraki, whether it is some of these foundations that are doing fantastic work, people like us, the media. I mean, tell us how many. Gargi and I keep talking about Olympic Games every day at 5 o'clock. How many platforms are doing Olympics like we are doing? I've started writing every day at 8 a.m. about a forgotten hero. Today we wrote about Kashba Jadhav. You know what? When Kashba Jadhav in 1952 came back after winning India's first medal, individual medal, you know what happened? 150 bullock carts, Gargi. That's what welcomed him. 150 bullock carts from his village, from his native village, came to welcome him and took him around the country, around his village. That's how it was. I mean, how many platforms are doing? People will do Champions Trophy, and it is, Pakistan, India. People will say domestic football because transfer news sells. People will say India, Sri Lanka, Gautam Gambhir asking for Rohit and Virat and Bumrah for the one days. The moment I start talking about it, and I obviously know these news points, but that is not the point. It is also our responsibility. It is our responsibility to put that effort, more effort, into promoting Olympic sport. That's what we are here for. And our Paris coverage will be unprecedented. In fact, Gargi today asked me, should I join the show? Yes, because I absolutely want her to be the best young journalist doing Olympic sport in the country. That's the point. That's how it will happen. Intellectually, that's how we grow together. Yesterday, we were doing some sports, Gargi, and there are a lot of questions coming. How many? Who's this? Rasidin Biswas. How many medals will win this Olympic? It's impossible. It is impossible. I mean, no one can predict, but I've said this yesterday, I'm saying it today. If it's a bad Olympics, and it can be, if it's a bad Olympics, we will win between 7 and 8 medals. Still should be our best ever, because our best Olympic Games is Tokyo. India participated for the first time. I know it's becoming a bit of a monologue, but India participated for the first time in 1920. And okay, let's put this question out. Do you know how many, when India participated in 1920, do you know who represented India in Belgium as part of the management? All of you who are watching, do you guys know who represented India as part of the management, as part of the administration in Antwerp in 1920? If you can answer this, I'll give you a signed copy of my book. Who represented India? Look at this. Sanjay Bhattacharya talk about Anwar. ভাই আনওয়ার নিয়ে সকাল 11টায় বলা হয়ে গেছে. So that's the point. Gagi, what's your favorite sport other than cricket?
I think motorsports. Formula.
Ah,
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, she's an avid motorsport follower.
yeah, yeah.
Avid motorsport follower. That's another sport that.
No,
That's
but
another
I
sport.
also love to watch tennis. I love to watch badminton. Uh, what other sports do I watch? Hockey. I love watching hockey,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and it's
Good.
and it's good that India is doing very well in all these sports, because it's fun to watch the Indian team go out there. Did you watch the final, the Wimbledon final?
Yes. Yes. I mean, the
Incredible.
men's was a bit of a dampener because unlike most others, I keep following Novak Djokovic and love the
Oh,
guy. And I actually think, his grace in defeat was the hallmark of a real champion. I mean, I
that's
know he's not as loved as a Rafa Nadal or a Roger Federer, but Novak Djokovic's grace in defeat. Ayush Jindal says uh, Norman Pritchard. Norman Pritchard won 2 medals in 1900, Ayush, and thereafter went on to play, went to Hollywood and became a film star and acted in Beau Geste. That's Norman Pritchard for you. No, uh, Norman Pritchard. Yes, I mean, of course, Wimbledon. I mean, come on, Wimbledon. Who's not talking about women? All the women athletes that we were talking about, Gargi and I, were women athletes from India, right? So don't worry about it. I mean, we will talk. And by the way, Asian Games 107, 54 women's medals. So we will absolutely talk. But coming back to the question, you will find it very interesting to know that India was actually represented in Antwerp. Tata, yes, he was the prime mover, but he had requested or asked Ranjit Singh ji, the cricketer, to represent India at Antwerp in 1920 as part of the administration. So KS Ranjit Singh ji represented India as part of the Antwerp this thing. Abha Khatua is an interesting one. I will figure out more, Aryan, and tell you. But yes, Abha was in touch with me some days earlier. Do you remember Martina Hingis? Dex. Gargi. Dex keeps asking these. Okay, there's a documentary that has just come out on Sania and Martina. I think it came out yesterday. I'm one of the people in the documentary. They came and interviewed me along with Imran Mirza, Sania herself, Martina, myself. There are 5, 6 of us who are part of the documentary. So absolutely watch that documentary. It's on Sania and Martina. Now coming to is India ready? I mean, I made the point about I made the point about top skill. Gargi, where India falters, I think it's mental. I think it's mental because when you think about your shooters in Rio, when you think about Jitu Rai, when you think about the shooting team in Rio, when you think about Saurabh Chaudhary, Manu Bhakar, Elevenil Valerivan in Tokyo, now they're top quality. Why do you not win medals? Because I think the title Olympic Games starts playing on their mind. I think that's where the problem is. You yourself have played sport. Can you tell me, when if I ask you, how much for you was mental?
90%. And this was a saying that was told to us by coaches all the time, and I think it's something that I've played in a lot of clubs and I've played under a lot of coaches, and all of them say the same thing, is that cricket is only 10% skill and 90% mental. Because when you're out there, if you go into bat or bowl, and if you're not confident in yourself, if you're not confident in your abilities, and if you don't walk into the field thinking I'm going to win my team this game, then you're not going to make it. That's just how it is. It's 90% mental, and if you're not able to control your nerves, if you're not um, you know if you falter, you have to seize the moment. You've got to be that mentally strong that you have to go in there and seize the moment. And if you don't, then the pressure is going to get to you, and someone is going to be better than you, so they'll take it, they'll seize the moment.
How did you handle pressure? Because a lot of questions are being asked about pressure. And Abhinav Bindra says the best way to handle pressure is acceptance. Accept that there is pressure, and only then, if you're in the moment, you have to be in the present. Accept that there is pressure. Will you be able to deal with pressure? How did you handle pressure?
I had a love hate relationship with pressure, because I hated feeling it, but it also really pushed me to do my best, to really focus on little things that can go wrong. And under pressure, you're more susceptible to make a lot more silly mistakes rather than big mistakes. So it really it makes you hyper focus, and like tunnel vision. It gives you really laser focus, and that's the part I used to love about pressure. But how I used to deal with pressure is, you know, uh, not thinking about it, I think, is the best thing. Don't think about the pressure, and you have to remain.
Let me give our people a
Yeah.
concrete example. So, what happened in Tokyo? Manu Bhakar lost out in the final, rather, lost out in the qualifiers and failed to make the final by 2 points. And Manu's coach then, obviously, it's Jaspal now. Manu's coach then in Tokyo was Ronak Pandit. Ronak is now coaching Esha Singh. So Ronak and I would sit in the Asahi shooting range in Japan, in Tokyo. It's about an hour from downtown Tokyo. So we would sit together and watch. After the match got over, and I told Ronak, "What do you think went wrong?" And he said, "Let's go and check." So we actually managed to get hold of Manu's paper scores, where the details were written in terms of which shot got her how many points, etc., etc. So we got hold of that. And something fascinating came out. So we were going through each shot. Every time that Manu Bhakar had taken 3 seconds to shoot, she was shooting a 10 plus. The two shots which actually cost her, the place in the final, she had shot within 1.7 seconds. So she had rushed herself. Every time she took 3 seconds, 10. The two times that she had shot within 1.7 seconds, it was 9. And that is what had cost her a place in the final. So you're actually talking about less than a second in terms of sports science, because Gargi used that word, in terms of acceptance. That's what cost Manu Bhakar a place in the final. That's how close it was. Unbelievable. I mean, Rahi Sarnobat, brilliant in the lead up, unfortunately wasn't able to make it because of pressure. Saurabh Chaudhary. Saurabh Chaudhary, according to me, and I was standing right behind Saurabh Chaudhary in Tokyo, rather sitting, I think was one of the most talented Indian shooters who had come. Now, some months back, when I asked, where is Saurabh? And I was told that it's become mental with him, and he says, मेरे से वो घोड़ा दबता नहीं है. So it has become a mental issue. He in the middle he went to Germany and did win a couple of medals, but unfortunately wasn't able to make it back for the Olympic Games. So let's do shooting. 21 athletes. I actually think we have a tremendous. Some people are saying here, stage fright. Yes, stage fright is a big thing. Priyanshu says mental block. Anita Padhi says, is it because we have stage fright, too big a stage? Absolutely. Absolutely. The moment Olympic Games is mentioned, the thing becomes different because you're talking about an Olympic Games. The mention that after 4 years I'll get a chance. If I lose this one, there's nothing in the next whatever. It's not a bilateral series. It's not something I will get tomorrow. It is 4 years. So I've practiced for this one night for 4 years. And if I don't do well, it's gone. It's gone for me. Maybe the next Olympics I will not even make it. And that is the biggest problem for athletes. So coming to shooting, let's do a deep dive. I think this is India's best shooting team in a long, long time. This is India's best shooting team in a long, long time. Because after yesterday, I was actually reading the trial scores again. And when I see the trial scores, I'm convinced that if this team does not come back with 3 medals, then something deeply is wrong. It is luck, it is whatever, I don't know. If this team doesn't win 3 medals, the 20 plus shooters who have qualified, I will be stunned. And my bets, number one, absolutely, I will say, in the top bracket, Sift Kaur Samra, Aishwari Pratap Tomar, either of these two athletes, Anjum Mudgil, Manu Bhakar, Esha Singh, in the rifle, Ramita Jindal and Ella, Sarabjot and Arjun, the mixed teams. When I think of the kind of talent we will put on show, Vijayveer in 25, when I think of the kind of talent we will put on show there, Gargi, 3, 4 medals in shooting at that Chateauroux range is a real possibility as far as I'm concerned. Real possibility. And if India doesn't win 3, 4 medals, I for one, when I think a Mehuli is not going, a Tilottama is not going, when I think a Rudransh Patil, one of my favorite shooters, is not going, when I think that whoever Chan is not going, when I think that Sarabjot beat Rudransh for that spot, Mehuli is not going, when I think Shriyanka is not going, and I'm like, what? This is an incredibly talented shooting team, Gargi, that will go. Let's also talk about the baddie draw. You've seen the doubles draw yesterday. So, what is your take? According to me, Satvik Chirag has been handed a very good draw. They are going to face Aflian and Aridanto, the world number 6 pair in the group. But other than that, the world number 31 German pair and that 45, I don't think there will be any issue. And if they top the group, they are also expected to get a relatively easier quarterfinal. So I think the draw is excellent. If you've interviewed Satvik Chirag, what is your thought? Sindhu's draw, Pranoy's draw, Laksha's draw, Tanisha and Ashwini. By the way, I'm interviewing Tanisha and Ashwini tonight, and of course Satvik and Chirag. Thoughts on badminton, Gargi, after shooting?
Like you said, I think Sakshi are very likely to win a medal, and we've seen what they can do in the past year. They've in 2023 they had a really good run. India Open I covered, so I know that they were performing very well, and they were able to kind of get that final block out of the way, because up until then I think they were getting out during the semi-finals and not really making it to the finals, or they were getting eliminated in the finals. But India at the India Open, they were looking very good, and I think they have the best chance of winning a medal when it comes to the Indian contingent, among others as well. You're on mute.
No, you go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask, when you look at Sachi's draw, who do you think is the biggest threat right now?
Uh, two pairs. They see Liang Wang is seeded number one. The Danes are seeded two, Astrup and Rasmussen. The Koreans, the Koreans Kang and Seo are good. Uh, Obviously, the Chinese, Liang Wang will be a threat. Having said that, if Sachi are in form and in proper shape, Cho and Shia, I don't think there is any team in the world at this point in time that can stop them. And I'm being candid. Because what Gopi kept telling me, look at their height, look at their power, look at their aggression, look at their defense now. Defensively, they can now compete with any team. Maybe not their best, but they were always the most aggressive, and in attack they will take anyone down. But now, with that kind of defense that they now have, plus the draw, group D with 5 pairs, and look at group D, boss, look at group D, it's the group of death. So clearly they will have to play one less match. Aflian and Aridanto, they have not lost in what, last 2 years. They have not lost to them. They have a better record against all of the pairs. I expect Satvik and Chirag to top the group, get a relatively easier quarterfinal, and make the semi-final. And Satvik and Chirag also, I think, because of the fact that they won the French Open Super 750, which is the same venue as the Olympic Games. So they will know the court. They've done better in those courts. They've had success in those courts, unlike in Birmingham. In All England, they've never had success. But in French Open Super 750, they've had success. So they will be playing there. I think Satvik and Chirag have a real good chance, Gargi. Real good chance. As far as Sindhu, she's one of my favorite athletes. And Sindhu at the Olympic Games is a different ball game. Firstly, I met her last in about 2 3 months back, and she looked lean and ready to me. I spoke to Prakash sir. She's fit. She's training in Germany. Laksha's training in France. The rest of the folks are training in Hyderabad and will go on the 22nd or the 23rd. That's what Gopi tells me. So Sindhu is training with Prakash sir in Germany, from where she will come. She's fit. And Gopi and I, we were chatting, and Prakash sir said the final. So I asked Prakash sir, what is the thing that you're working on with Sindhu? And she said, look, I am not here to teach Sindhu at this level badminton. She knows badminton. I am here to teach. So every player, say a critical point. Now Gargi has the option of playing a simple return, an aggressive return, push it at the back of the court, go in for a smash, set it up, play a drop, play. So all of these possibilities are there with the player. Prakash sir said to me, fascinating. He said to me that my job is to make sure that Sindhu identifies the correct shot. And the moment Sindhu identifies the correct shot to play, she will know. And he said, also I want to make sure she doesn't look at the back of the court to the coach. It should come to her naturally. The coach doesn't need to tell her at Olympic stage that do this. That's what we will build to. And he said that when Prakash sir first took Sindhu, twice a day they were measuring her body weight. Twice a day, to get some extra fat out. She was stopped from eating biryani and whatever, ice cream and whatever, all that junk that we love. Gargi goes to the gym every day, so she's a fit, whatever, I mean, a freak. But Sindhu, with her body mass, the BMS, they were working twice a day to ensure that that extra fat was gone. That is sports science. So the impact that they were doing blood tests, they were doing all of these kind of tests every single day on Sindhu. And if you now look at her, you will understand that Sindhu absolutely is ready. So Sindhu, according to me, will top the group. I also think will take out Hibiji. Hibing Jia is one Sindhu has beaten in the bronze medal playoff in Tokyo. Hibing Jia Sindhu has beaten, so I do think she will take her out. But then comes the quarterfinal against Chen Yufei. That's the match that Sindhu has to win. I think that is the one match that Sindhu has to win, which, according to me, will perhaps decide what happens to Sindhu. And if she somehow takes out Chen Yufei, then a third medal. So all of us will be there to scream for Sindhu, and it'll be one heck of a contest. So that according to me is the deal. Laksha, I think, has the opportunity of topping the group and beating Jonathan Christie. Yes, he's 1-4 in terms of head to head, but the newfound Laksha, with extra fitness under Prakash sir and Vimal, Laksha will be ready. So if Laksha takes out Johnny Christie, I don't think the others will be a problem. And if Laksha makes it from that group, by the way, the round of 16, if Laksha makes it from that group, will be Laksha versus Pranoy. So that's sad for India. So it will be Laksha versus Pranoy in the round of 16. At one level, you might say we'll have one quarterfinalist, and he might just go on to get you a medal. But I do think
I
Laksha versus Pranoy will be quite a fun match.
I don't know how Lakshya and Pranav always end up against each other. I don't know how that happens.
And I don't
Some,
think Gopi will be there. I don't think Gopi and Vimal, I mean, who will, as head badminton coach, what is he supposed to do? Obviously,
yeah,
he's Pranay's personal coach and Prakash sir will coach Laksha. But as India's badminton head coach, I don't think Gopi will be there. Laksha versus Pranoy, sad turn of events that they are both in the same half of the draw. As far as Pranoy is concerned, he should go through the group and he should make the round of 16. If he's a fit Pranoy, count on him to go the distance at least till the semi-finals. Quarterfinal, I think Pranoy will push Laksha. That could be a classic. All of us will go and watch and enjoy and celebrate both players. Finally, coming to Tanisha and Ashwini, I
mm,
somehow have this weird gut feel that Charu and Shida, they'll take them out. Matsuyama and Shida,
yeah,
if they take one of them, they need to win one big match. The Koreans and the Japanese, they need to win one big match for them to progress to the quarterfinals. Because in doubles, it will be two teams per group who will make the quarters, unlike in singles where one player goes through. So Ashwini and they are a happy-go-lucky kind of pair. Tanisha all aggressive, all in. Ashwini the more calmer, the more mentoring kind of player. I think it'll be fantastic. It'll be fantastic. So let's see. Let's see. I mean, I'm quite excited. Badminton from day one. And as Gargi, why don't you give the Olympic plan that there'll be two lives, there'll be all videos, how we are planning. So give people the plan so that everyone knows that this is what we are trying to kind of do.
absolutely. So, starting the 26th, when the Paris Olympics starts, we'll have in the English channel we'll have two lives, a minimum of two lives per day. When it comes to Hindi, we're going to do minimum of one live per day on whatever's happening throughout the day. You know what events are going on, what Indian athletes are playing, everything that could be possibly we could give you the information. And of course, from Paris we have 6 to 7 people there, so they will keep giving us all the updates from on ground, every little thing that happens in any of the sports, exclusives, interviews, behind the scenes stories, everything that you could possibly think of. We will be bringing you that. And of course, if India happens to win any medals, if Indian athletes happen to break any records, any world records, we will be bringing you all the updates of that as well. And I don't think I missed anything else. And also,
Plus, we on the
Shormishta,
website.
yeah,
Plus,
Shormishta,
also when you are giving this update, Gargi, do also talk about the Women's Asia Cup and the Sri Lanka series
oh
because we are
yes,
all about holistic coverage. Because the Asia Cup that starts on the 19th, we will cover the Women's Asia Cup with the same gusto as we will do the Sri Lanka series. So give them that update, and maybe after that you can close the show.
absolutely. And of course, for Women's Asia, like Boria said, that Women's Asia Cup, we will be covering that alongside the Olympics. When it comes to the Sri Lanka tour, a very important tour for Indian team. Gautam Gambhir starting out as the head coach. Many of the seniors being rested, might be rested, and a new team going in. So it will be interesting to see what happens in that tour as well. But we'll be bringing you all the updates from Paris. We will be talking about Sri Lanka, what happened on that tour, and of course the Women's Asia Cup as well. We'll have all our eyes peeled on all the tournaments that are going on throughout simultaneously throughout August, throughout July. But don't worry, because we'll be bringing you everything. Like Boria said, holistic coverage is our aim, and we'll be doing that, and multi-sport. But I think that's it for our show. We've spoken quite a lot, and we've covered quite a lot as well. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 as well to talk about more of Olympics. What more can be, whatever updates there are, we'll talk about that.
We can even do a special tomorrow on all of the medals that India won, or anything that the viewers want. Ask them for comments also. I mean, because our Olympics coverage will stand out. We can even talk about the fourth positions. We are doing a number of specials on that. So Gargi and I will be back at 5 p.m. tomorrow with all the news points, how the athletes are training. We will take you behind the scenes with what's happening with Mira, what's happening with the shooters, what's happening with the hockey team, where they are training, what the final lineup is looking like, when India is reaching. And tomorrow, let's do this, Gargi. We will give people a day by day lowdown. What are the events to watch, the Indian events to watch on which particular day, so that people who are watching can make a note that, okay, these are the kind of events that we need to watch on this day. So that will make their kind of Olympic watching that much easier.
Absolutely. So we'll be back tomorrow at 5. We'll give you a lot more updates and a lot more information on how to follow the Olympics, what events there are, what medals can be expected. So stay tuned to Rev Sports for more holistic coverage. Thank you so much.